Does the Ford Maverick Hybrid deliver the fuel economy that Ford promises? In this video, we're gonna find out.
But we're not going to trust the MPG indicated on the dashboard because vehicle manufacturers are usually a little optimistic. Instead, we're going to calculate it ourselves. We're going to do a 300-mile road trip. I just filled it up with gas because it wasn't quite there. Had to add about a half gallon. So now we're completely full. And this road trip is going to be pretty difficult on the car. This is what I call my torture test. We're gonna go up out of Los Angeles, we're gonna go into the desert, up through Mojave, then we're gonna go across the Kern River Valley, and finally back over the mountains and down into LA again. Total vertical feet traveled is gonna be somewhere around 18,000, and it's usually windy. Now this is going to be mostly a highway test, and Ford says that the vehicle is going to get about 33 MPG. They say it's going to get 42 in the city, 37 combined. So we're going to see if we can hit that 33 or exceed it. And one more thing, I'm going to drive normally. I'm going to drive around the speed limit. I'm not going to speed excessively, and I'm also not going to hypermile it. I'm going to drive like what I think a normal person would. So let's see what the real world MPG is like, and let's see what this thing costs to run for 300 miles. So far, I've driven about 74 miles, which is almost to our first pit stop in Mojave. The dash is telling me I'm getting about 40 miles a gallon, that's pretty impressive actually. Now there has been a lot of traffic, which is going to improve the gas mileage because this does get 42 in the city, but I've been on the freeway, a lot of stop and go, but now I'm out of it, and I'm surprised at how good the gas mileage looks so far. So that's pretty impressive, and I think something else that is actually quite impressive too is the base price of this truck. And I know we're dealing with this land of dealer markups and so forth, but we can put that aside for just a second. This starts at $20,000, and of course you have a $1,500 destination fee, so you're looking at $21,500 to get into this truck. And there's 3 trim levels, so base is at $20,000. This is the XLT trim, which is the mid-level trim. And this particular vehicle has about $3,200 worth of options in it. This has Copilot 360 and a couple other minor things. So the total price out the door of this before tax is about $27,000, and that is including the destination fee. So here are my first impressions of this as a road trip vehicle. It is not the quietest thing in the world. There's a fair bit of wind noise that I haven't found in some other vehicles that are perhaps a little bit more premium. The ride quality is pretty good. The seats are cloth. They're not the most comfortable for me, I'll just put it that way. I wish they had a little bit more lumbar support. The interior is quite roomy, I think. Even though this is a small compact truck, there is really a ton of space in here, especially if you compare it to something like a Honda Civic, for example, which this is gonna get better gas mileage than a regular Honda Civic, at least that's my expectation so far. Yeah, there's some hard plastics in here, but they do have some nice texture on them, which I like. There's an interesting insert which goes across the dash. It's gray. It's hard plastic, but it kind of looks like granite, and there's some bright orange colors which sort of pop right below in the center console, and also the vents have a little bright orange splash in them too, so it's kind of fun. It's not a very serious vehicle, which is something that I appreciate. So we know this engine is able to deliver good fuel economy. What about good performance and good acceleration? Let's do a 0 to 60 now, with the caveat of we're at 5,000 feet, so it's not going to be that great, but I have put it in sport mode, so maybe that'll make a big difference. It doesn't like brake stands, but off we go. No wheel spin. Ooh, that's CVT. There's 60. What do we got? 7.94. That's not fast, but that's not where you're buying this truck anyhow. If you want the fast version, go get the EcoBoost, which is the 2-liter, which actually is legitimately quick. That has, I believe, 270 horsepower around there, and the truck actually feels quite fast. So we're about halfway through our journey. We're about 145 miles right now, and this is the Kern River Valley. It's absolutely beautiful. This is a pretty comfortable car to drive on a road trip. I've got no real complaints. The stereo is okay for what it is. The passenger space is okay. And as indicated, I'm getting almost 35 miles a gallon, 34.9 right now. Now I did go down a pretty big hill, so I got a little bit of juice into the battery, and that's been helping a little bit. So that's a little bit better than EPA and Ford says. I was expecting to get 33. Now, I haven't been driving hard. I've been driving around the speed limit, which has been anywhere from about 55 to 70 miles an hour. Did do a couple of full throttle pulls, passed a couple vehicles. So I think I'm driving this pretty much as a normal person would. There was a lot of buildup, a lot of hype before the Maverick came out, and I think it's actually warranted. This is a good truck. This is something, if I wanted a truck, I would buy, especially if you live in the city. And that's because the dimensions are nice and compact. This thing fits in my driveway okay. I can turn it around pretty easily. This is essentially a large car in terms of the space on the inside. You've obviously got a small cargo bed compared to a big truck like an F-150. The other small trucks that you're looking at, like the Hyundai Santa Cruz, that's a lot more expensive. And then you've got the Honda Ridgeline. That starts way higher than this too. So there's nothing really like this truck on the market right now. I think this is pretty good. Got about 80 miles to go. We're in the Central Valley, and we're just about to climb the big hill, the big mountain. It's called the Grapevine, back into Los Angeles. So we got to go up that and down that. We're going to gain something like 3,000 or 4,000 feet. And so that's going to have a big effect on the current indicated MPG, which is 37.3. Don't think that's going to hold because we got a lot of hill climbing to do, although we're going to gain some of it coming back down. We just drove about 313 miles and apparently 37.8 MPG average, which is higher than I expected and higher than what it's rated for. You think that MPG figure is accurate? We're gonna fill it up. Let me know in the comments. Is that 37.8 accurate or is it really lower? All right, stopped at 8.78 gallons. Just gonna give it a quick little top up. All right, 9.051 gallons. I think the car is lying. Let's find out. Drum roll, please. 34.3, that's the actual MPG that I got over 311 miles. Used a little over 9 gallons for a total cost of about 60 bucks. Now, gas here is $6.60 a gallon, so that's not great. But here's the big picture. This truck actually beat the 33 MPG estimate from the EPA, and that's pretty significant because this wasn't a simple flat drive over the plains. I took this truck up and down over nearly 18,000 feet. That's a pretty big deal, actually. So 34 MPG is pretty good for a truck on the highway. But I think the bigger story is that this is the right truck at the right time because gas prices are through the roof, and a truck that starts at $20,000, which is, as far as I know, still the cheapest one on the market new, is really something kind of remarkable. Now, one thing to consider is that if you live in a snowy climate, the hybrid only comes with front-wheel drive. So if you need all-wheel drive, you're kind of out of luck. You're going to have to get the 2.0 EcoBoost. The $20,000 price range, the natural competitors for this are actually subcompact cars like the Honda Civic and the Toyota Corolla. And obviously what you're getting here is a huge bed. Well, it's about 54 inches. It's not huge, but it's a lot more cargo space than you're getting in either of those vehicles. Ford has sort of an interesting alternative to the subcompact car. Now, the XLT trim is probably the package that most people are going to opt for. With that, you get these cargo tie-downs in the bed, which are kind of nice. It's got the spray-in bed liner, and the interior is a little bit upgraded too. On our brand new efficiency chart at the very top, we have the Toyota Prius, which is clearly still in the lead. And this is currently number 2 for highway mileage. So number 2 out of 2, not bad. If you want to know how an electric car compares against a hybrid over the same 300-mile loop, click right over here. My name is Eric. Thanks for watching.